And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the PondCast episode 84, your weekly dose of all things StarCraft. I'm, of course, Sty VIP, with you and joined by Kuro, handling the production, and of course by the lovely people in the chat as well. Welcome, one and all, to our weekly catch-up show, weekly wrap-up show here of all things StarCraft and StarCraft-adjacent news as well. A lot has been going on over the past week, and there's a lot to catch up on. Let's go. Let us catch up. First things first, shout out to Isaac. Shout out to PandaBearMe, of course, infamous for his documentary series. Did a massive one on Jaedong a couple of years ago, did one on Sue last year, and only recently, a couple of days ago, did release a new documentary video here on Stephano. Let's go. The champion who didn't play. True, Pappy, true. But a very, very nicely done and documented and orchestrated documentary here, once again by PandaBearMe. At this point, has kind of set the standard. I say standard, really peaked in quality of documentaries. Like, I've enjoyed his documentary series so much more than some of the other professionally made documentary series with a bigger budget, with interviews, and with flying around the country and flying around to different continents even as well. It's really amazing how PandaBearMe can create or weave a narrative kind of through this storytelling and be able to construct, this tale, this story that was Stephano. Personally, as a personal matter, I found this really interesting and really insightful as well. Personally, just because, for those who are unaware, Stephano was kind of before my time, in a sense. I got into StarCraft during the StarCraft II beta, or I should say I was watching StarCraft II content during the SC2 beta in Wings of Liberty, of course, like many people watching Husky, watching HD, but I didn't really get into like viewing any kind of live tournaments or the greater eSports side of things until a little bit later, until Heart of the Swarm, until 2013. By that point, again, time had come and gone, and that was like the greater era, especially Wings of Liberty, of the up-and-coming foreigner players and foreign scene. On top of that, even when I did get into esports, into StarCraft in 2013, it was mainly following Axiom, in GSTL, in Acer Team Story Cup, in WCS Premier League, in the more NA version of Premier League, and also following them travels abroad here to DreamHacks, to IEMs, for example. That was I didn't get into like greater esports until 2014, and by then, again, like that, this story had ended. this documentary series had concluded by then. Of course, Stephano was still playing. I was definitely around for the Swarm host era, right? The Swarm host era of StarCraft, and Stephano was definitely a prevalent adapter and connoisseur of the Swarm host, 100%, alongside many, if not all, Zerg players at the time, with Betrayus, with Snoot, and with many others. Firekick, of course, infamously as well. But like, I kind of missed out on like his big rise to fame, likewise on the Hybrid Pro League, or even the EGTL season of Pro League as well. Like, that is something that I did kind of miss out on. Didn't get into Pro League until 2014. So yeah, it was definitely enlightening to kind of see that, and also really cool to kind of see that narrative woven as well as to the kind of person and player that Stephano is, or Stephano was. Of course, Stephano still does pop up every now and then. Even in recent years, we saw Stephano pop up like in a Home Story Cup and in random tournaments here and there. By no means was he meaning to return to competitive play, but he's popped up in recent times every now and then. Of course, a much more mature, a much more tame Stephano in current year, but back then a very different kind of entity as well. And yeah, it was really enlightening, really interesting to hear. I think a lot of people are, of course, aware of Stephano's controversies and his personality as well. Being a very much sort of like a rock star, a party boy, drinking a lot, and not necessarily playing a lot of StarCraft, and not necessarily practicing a lot of StarCraft either. But I found it really enlightening when we got to the story about his time in Korea. Again, like this is, quote unquote, before my time. But hearing about his time in the EGTL team house and hearing how miserable he was, like he was even joking about killing himself. Like it was it was kind of brutal. Talking about how, because of Stephano's lifestyle and because of his personality, how he's very outgoing. I'm sure he does like clubbing or going out for drinks or just having a little bit more freedom to himself. Him discussing and talking about his time in Korea, talking about how constricted and confined it was because he didn't know the language, didn't know the people. He was stuck in a team house where he only had to play and practice, and that's not really his style. He's a little bit more carefree when it comes to practicing and improving and of the like. So it was just it didn't gel. It didn't gel with his personality, and he hated his experience in Korea, and hated that kind of again, that lifestyle and that kind of environment as well. Something that I personally was not aware of. So yeah, definitely kind of gave a different idea, a different perspective on the person that was Stephano. He even had his interview, of course, with Kaldor, kind of like expressing that as well, how he missed his family, he missed his brother, over in Europe, of course, and how he never wanted to go back to Korea. Of course, many years later he would, if you recall, because he was the coach of the of the uh, of the GSL versus the World big show match event, and he did return for that. But that was only for like a day or two. Like that was only for a one-off event sort of thing. And of course, far later when he was showing up as a coach, not as a player. But yeah, it was definitely interesting to hear that kind of story told, of course, about his rise, his eventual fall. I also think it was really important for Isaac to actually kind of emphasize as well Stephano's kind of outlook on the game. He always was very, would I say, materialistic. I know he spoke a lot about how he didn't really enjoy playing StarCraft, especially towards the second half of his career, potentially competing in StarCraft, and how it was more of like a means to an end, and how he always wanted to go back to studying, and it was all about earning money as well. But then we saw like some greater perspective and greater context, talking about his relationship with his family, talking about how his mother was very much so against the idea of pro gaming and spending time playing video games, telling us stories about how his mother would throw out his PC, would literally like like throw it against the wall, and just not allow Stephano to actually interact in that kind of medium, and the idea that Stephano felt the need to prove that he wasn't wasting his time to his family, to his mother, and to prove that, hey, he's earning a living, he's earning money, and that's what matters, right? Like that's what mattered to him when kind of talking in interviews, but also it's what mattered to his family, it's what mattered to his mother, to be able to prove that this is something that he could do for a living, and it's something that he could achieve, and something that he was excelling in as well. So there was also this more this greater like kind of mental analytical aspect to his personality and to his behavior and to his outlook on life and to his outlook on the game as well. Like there were definitely a lot of layers to the documentary, and again, it definitely gave like a different perspective and a greater perspective. And yeah, it was just, again, it was a story that was told very, very well, as always. It was also very nostalgic seeing as always, seeing old footage of players when they were younger, of casters when they were younger, right? It's like, and crazy to even recognize some of the interviews, or even recognize some of the voices. They still sound the same. Referring to Kalaris, hearing Apollo casting once again after so long. It was crazy to hear, especially considering the recent interview we had with Kalaris. It just put that into perspective as well. Obviously, a lot of stories told from other personalities about his lack of practice and his approach to the game as well. But yeah, it was really well done. I wasn't really expecting this. Just taking a bit of a step back here, if you recall, I want to say that PandaBearMe, he spoke on potentially working on a Beyond documentary. So my assumption was that was going to be coming next. Was something. Was something along the lines of Beyond. Of course, we kind of got that with the French community, with TKL and Comeback TV. So that's kind of what I was expecting out of PandaBearMe, but no, just out of left field, instead, a story about Stephano instead. A pleasant surprise is what I will say, and definitely a lot of work, a lot of passion. Again, I think he even tweeted that this took an entire year to kind of work on, to kind of construct as well. So far, I think it's been like one video a year for PandaBearMe, right? Like it was, yeah, the Jaedong documentary was 2 years ago, Sue's was last year, and then Stephano's was this year as well. So yeah, it's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort put into these, and definitely worth viewing, definitely worth checking out, especially if you're a fan of Stephano, or even if you're someone that's a little bit newer to the scene and didn't really know some of the context or some of the history of StarCraft. I think we spoke about this last time when we went over the Sue documentary series, or Sue documentary. Myself and Yaku, we spoke about how there's just so much like potential for these videos to be made. Like, there are so many players that you can follow. That's why we brought up Bjorn to begin with. But you can talk about Bjorn, you can talk about Rain, you can talk about Rogue. Like, there's so many players. Even MVP. I feel like MVP's been talked about to death. Nesty, even Ryung, MC. I think you can do something on C 100%, on MC 100%. But like, there's Snoot, right? Snoot, yeah, that's another big one, right? What's crazy to me is that there are so many newer viewers and newer fans of StarCraft that know nothing about Snoot, who was like the foreign hope back in the day as well. He was just after Stephano, like as Stephano was falling, Snoot was rising, sort of thing. But there are so many players that you can kind of put a magnifying glass to and dedicate a video like this to as well. Like, there's just so much history in StarCraft and so much to kind of jump into. Of course, you have someone like Zombie who's trying to do like a greater scope and a greater tale of StarCraft as a whole, but honing in on a certain player like this, like, there's definitely a lot of room. There's definitely a lot of just a lot to be gained here. So yeah, I look forward to what comes next, and a big shout out to PandaBearMe for making this documentary and for putting the time, the effort, the passion, the love into it, the blood, sweat, and tears, I'm sure, as well. And yeah, it was really cool to hear, and I look forward to any future documentaries as well from PandaBearMe. At this point, like, I'm a fan of his work. If you're maybe listening for the first time and you didn't know about the Sue documentary or the Jaedong documentary, I recommend it. I highly recommend checking it out. They're his 3 most recent videos on his channel. Again, they've taken a year each, a year each to construct. I'm sure he's working on others as well. So I'm going to be looking forward to it, and it's kind of crazy. I look forward to what comes next. As I said before, I was expecting a Beyond documentary series, but hey, maybe there's another one in the works as well. Maybe another one for another player, like a Snoot, or even a bunny, referring to the Danish bunny, not the Korean bunny, or even Neeb as well. When it comes to the foreign scene, like Huck, like, there's a lot of players that you can focus on. Polt, right? True. There's a lot around Polt. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many to pick between. There's so many, you just have to, have an idea, have the passion, have the drive to kind of push that idea forward, and to commit to it as well, of course. Patience documentary. True. Aye. But again, a big shout out to Isaac, big shout out to PandaBearMe. If you have not checked out or have you not watched or listened to the documentary yet, I do recommend it. Bam, link is going to be in the Twitch chat and in the YouTube chat as well, so do check it out. Do give your feedback, comment, like, all things. Do check it out. Again, shout out to Isaac, shout out to PandaBearMe. Speaking of content and speaking of other pieces of interviews. Last week we had an interview with Kalaris. This week we have an interview with someone that I was very unfamiliar with. We had an interview with Kaldi. Kaldi, an old school Icelandic eSports StarCraft II player, and later Hearthstone player as well. This is leading up to the big LAN event happening this weekend in Iceland. And at the time that we spoke about the announcement of the events, we were like, we don't really know that many Icelandic players. I still stand by that, by the way. And I was a little bit perplexed as to why the event was happening and how much interest it would be from the local scene. But I mean, hey, we were illuminated a little bit, at least, with this new interview conducted with Kaldi, talking about his experience, the old days in StarCraft, and also the scene, the Icelandic scene for StarCraft back in the day as well. Kaldi, he was an active player. I mean, speaking about Stephano, speaking back in the day, was a player back in 2012 and 2013. Those are the 2 more active years of Kaldi back in the day. And again, a player that I was very unfamiliar with. I actually, upon listening to the interview and upon reading it, did actually go forth and check out his Wikipedia, and did see a lot of tournament results when it comes to DreamHack Open Cups, playing against players like Moro, for example, beating Moro. True, like Moro is the player that I'm familiar with, or even going up against Gumiho and some of these other big Korean players back then as well. So yeah, it was really interesting to see. Kaldi, he was never a player that really shot up, which is exactly why I wasn't aware of him. He was more kind of middling of the road when it comes to the greater international scene, but at least when it came to the Icelandic scene, he was kind of a bigger name, and a bigger face, and a bigger entity in StarCraft. So it was really cool to hear from his perspective from many years ago. Nowadays, even talking about how he's still working in esports in a different capacity, and he was a lot more successful afterwards, after he retired. I want to say like towards the end of 2013, did retire, did start competing in Hearthstone instead, where he did have a lot more success. So you might be a little bit more familiar with him as a Hearthstone player, but again, did kind of initiate or did start his roots did begin in StarCraft or even in Warcraft 3 before that. Not as a pro player in Warcraft 3, but still was of course playing it and still was enjoying it as well. But yeah, it was really cool to hear from him. And it it's giving me a little bit more interest in the event itself to see who signs up, who checks in, who goes to the event, whether he even goes as well, just see what's going on, just to celebrate, the anniversary and the years of StarCraft as well. So yeah, it's really cool that they were able to get an interview. With Kaldi. This kind of goes in the line of what I mentioned before as well. I spoke earlier, I mean, we speak about this all the time when it comes to LAN events and people trying to create their own LAN events as well. We spoke of this mainly about the American LAN events that were happening, and even the Australian ones, about how important it is to kind of reach out, or how I believe it's important to reach out to local scenes, to local talent, whether it's players, whether it's casters, and kind of get them involved. And they did so here, reaching out to an old school Icelandic player for an interview to kind of promote the event and promote StarCraft in Iceland again. I think it was a really smart decision. I think it's really cool. It's giving a little bit more depth and backstory to the event, and I hope that it does well. And yeah, I do recommend it as well. The article is not in English, bear that in mind. So did have to translate it with rough translations to get an idea as to what was being said. But yeah, overall, it was a well done interview. Definitely giving again greater perspective as to the Icelandic scene and Kaldi as a player. And yeah, we might even see him show up suddenly. It was also really fun to hear, like he even spoke about, one time that he played against Hero from Siege Just is like, oh, he's still around. Like it's crazy just how long StarCraft has been around and how many years we've been watching a lot of these players as well. It's crazy. But yeah, shout out to Kaldi and the Icelandic scene, and best of luck with the LAN event that's going to be happening over in Iceland. Best of luck. That leads us into our next bit of news here, and randomly, this happened yesterday actually. I logged into the game, and bam, notification, achievements. We have a new portrait. We got a portrait in game celebrating the achievement, of course, of Hero winning the Thunderfire All-Star Invitational 2025. Interesting that they actually renamed it in game to 2026 All-Star Invitational. They removed the main name of the event, Thunderfire, and they retitled it to 2026 instead of 2025. But regardless,
to be fair, the Thunderfire was like debatable. I've seen some discussion about whether or not the event is called Thunderfire or just the organizer is called Thunderfire. So I would let that one slide.
Maybe. But yeah, it was really cool to see that we got a portrait for that. Again, for those who are maybe unaware, this was a big event that was celebrating the return of the Chinese scene and the Chinese server specifically, as it has been down for many years, and it was a big collaborative event with NetEase, of course, and with Thunderfire. And if you recall, SE Boy, they spoke on the fact that they were looking forward to, or at least NetEase were actually motivated to host more events like this in the future, which they already have, by the way. They already sponsored other events. If you remember, we spoke the other day about, I think it was the Chinese New Year event that NetEase hosted with a bunch of casters and streamers and ex-players. This was last week, where they did actually have a crazy big prize pool for them as well. It was insane. But they were motivated to sponsor and to host other events in China, and potentially even floating the idea of having the annual offline finals, the World Championship, in China as a part of like NetEase, as a part of an event like this. And this kind of further cements that idea as well. Like, hey, if they have connections and are willing to or can actually like push portraits through in game as well for their events, like that even gives the event a little bit more legitimacy. It's possible that there are some people that are watching right now that don't even know about the event. I mean, we casted it, true, but like when it comes to the greater StarCraft scene, referring to your typical player who logs into the game and suddenly gets a notification, they're like, wait, what? Like Hero won a big champion. Wait, what? And they'll look it up, they'll look into it, and hopefully they're able to hopefully it just gives the event a little bit more legitimacy. Again, it was like a $50,000 prize pool. It was huge, and there's a high chance that we see another one next year as well, and that might just become the annual event for StarCraft. Of course, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but again, it sounds like there has been definitely some talks and some interest from NetEase and some interest from SE Boy in the Chinese scene in regards to hosting the event again. on that annual basis. So congratulations here. Of course, the big controversial thing is that unfortunately the EWC champions have not gotten their portraits, referring to Cero winning EWC last year in 2025, and of course Clem becoming the 2024 EWC champion either. So it's a little bit weird to it's a little bit weird, right? That hey, bam, I mean, I say it's a little bit weird. It's different. The fact that NetEase were able to, and SC Boy were able to push through a portrait and push through a celebration for their tournament so quickly, whereas we're still missing out on the World Championship portrait from 2024 and 2025. I mean, one, it shows just how interconnected NetEase are, right? NetEase, they're handling the Chinese server, they're handling the Chinese clients. If they want to, they can just push stuff through. Like like that's what that tells me. It's less about I mean, maybe it is a little bit about the relationship that they have with Blizzard, but it's less about the relationship that Blizzard has with EWC and ESL. I did see that there were some people speculating about copyright related issues, or maybe EWC just not really being too interested in pushing and promoting their champion in the game of Blizzard, and maybe Blizzard they're not really chasing that, so there's just nothing being done there. But again, clearly this again pushes towards the idea of NetEase caring and having that interest and having that motivation and wanting to push their events and help support StarCraft, not just in regards to this, but the fact that they've been patching their own game. Part of the reason why we even have the arcade mode open once again, I would imagine, is because of the Chinese development scene and the Chinese developers who had been updating their version of the game and who had the arcade live well before we did, well before the global version of the game. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's obviously, of course, really cool to see that that Hero does get his own and another portrait in game. For sure, it does look sick. And yeah, I mean, it might be a sign of things to come when it comes to future years and future Thunderfire All-Star Invitationals, or just All-Star Invitationals, or just NetEase events in general. So it's really cool to see. That leads us over into our monthly update here of our most active contributors in 2026 February for Liquipedia. Once again, Liquipedia is a platform that is updated by the people, for the people. You yourself, hey, if you're out there, if you're watching a tournament, if you notice, hold up, there's no updates on Liquipedia. You can update it yourself. Shout out to our typical top contributors. We have Cynical Death as number 1, HJP Alpha as number 2, Bukun as number 3, Kashim as number 4, and Kuro 16 Squads and Seki for number 5. Special shout out to Light, myself, as I did squeeze into top 20 somehow. That is me purely updating our own tournaments and our own casts. Unfortunately nowadays I'm no longer an active contributor the way that I used to be, but apparently still enough to get to the top 20, which tells me we need more editing. We need more people contributing, because I should not be up there. By no means should I be up there. But shout out to our top 5, of course. Kuro always handling creating pages for the CranKy Ducklings and editing and updating wherever she can as well. So big shout out to Kuro, Kashim, Bukun, HJ, and Cynical as well. And of course, all the other top 20. True. And of course. But it's really cool that this is something that Liquipedia they've started doing relatively recently. Like maybe it's been like a year or so, maybe 2 years or so. But giving the shout-outs, giving a little bit of a limelight to those that contribute to their respective wikis. It's cool to see. That leads us into the Team Liquid map contest. TLMC is on the horizon. We have an announcement of an announcement. God damn it, Wax. But here we go. So quickly reading this. Hi, Wax from TLMC here. We're delighted to reveal that the new 1v1 TLMC will be beginning soon. To kind of put that in the back of your mind. Due to some internal complications, we will have to delay the official announcement date past our desired start date. We asked interested map makers to start prepping maps as if the submission period has already officially opened, as the official submission period may be shorter than usual. Please plan around a submission closing date in the March 23rd to 30th range. We are doing this in order to complete the 2026 first half ladder map rotation within a reasonable time frame. So, map making parameters will be identical or largely similar to the previous 1v1 TLMC. Thank you for your support, and we hope to officially launch TLMC 2022 soon. So it's hard to say what exactly is the complication that's delaying the kind of start of TLMC, I would imagine I don't think that the start of TLMC would be impacted by, say, disagreement on how many maps to create or what to add. It's possible that maybe there's some disagreements internally about what they want to push for, but at the same time, that was addressed here. I'm referring to the parameters, right? I'm referring to, like, how many like flex maps, or how many like unorthodox maps or macro maps, or the kind of like the configuration of a total map pool. Like, maybe there's some disagreement there, but at the same time, like, again, they said that it's going to be pretty similar to the previous ones, so it's hard to say. It might be related to Monster. If you recall, Monster Energy, they are the official sponsor of TLMC, and they have been sponsoring, funding, and providing support and prize money and prize pool for it on a regular basis. Might be related to that. All we can do is really speculate as to what those complications are. Regardless, it does sound like TLMC will be continuing on as per normal, and this is just notifying map makers to start working on those maps and get them ready. What I will say is that even though this was like the quote-unquote official announcement of an announcement, there were some people that were like, yo, isn't this kind of weird? What's going to happen to the map makers? Do they have enough time to actually work on their stuff? From my understanding, map makers were notified well ahead of time. I'm talking about like months ago, about the upcoming TLMC, to start working, like to be notified that there is one coming. We all knew this. We all knew this coming into this year, that there was going to be a TLMC coming into the first half of first quarter of 2026, and they already knew ahead of time, and we're already working on them ahead of time as well. This is more like of an official thing, where I say an official thing. All the established and known map makers were already made aware. This would be, I guess, more for those that are maybe a little bit more amateurish, or are not necessarily in those groups. If you're out there, if you happen to be watching and you're like, hey, like, I kind of want to get into map making, and if you're not necessarily like as engrossed or as ingrained in the scene, then this would be for those people, right? For those that are not as connected and are waiting for something like an official announcement, which I'm sure there are plenty, by the way. I'm sure there are people that, submit maps for the very first time, that they want to try their hand. Maybe they were motivated by the previous map pool, or motivated by recent games and recent tournaments, and being like, hey, like, I want to step into the role of map making as well. It isn't just like the established map makers that work on this, but there are so many others that get involved. So this would be for the greater scene, for the greater kind of base of people that are interested in making maps. So bear that in mind. But thankfully, again, like, this will be continuing on, and we have at least an idea as to when TLMC will be, which will be the end of the month, the end of March. Just as a heads up. Personally, I will say that I mean, I haven't been contacted or anything like that in regards to judging. I was one of the judges last season for TLMC, and I've been vocal about this, but I would like to do that again. Definitely have learned from my experience, and definitely was a fun kind of opportunity. And there's a lot that goes into it. There's lots. It's very daunting. I will say there's so many maps. it's very daunting. It takes a lot of time. Takes a lot of effort. But I do want to have a crack at it again. Ideally. Regardless. I feel like we've all learned quite a bit from that process, and it'll be interesting to go through it again. But regardless, we'll see how that all kind of comes together. And best of luck to all the map makers out there working on and supplying maps for the TLMC and constructing them as well. My one call out to map makers out there is work on your Moopy placements. Okay, I was shocked by the Moopy prison that we had last season. Okay, we had a map with walls lined with cages filled with Moopies. Okay, it was terrifying. It was it was crazy. It was crazy. What the hell's going on, guys? What the So I look forward to seeing what kind of stories are being woven involving the Moopies in the upcoming maps. Looking forward to it. Those who don't know, there's often a lot of Easter eggs in all of these maps involving Moopies. Are like the Ewoks. They're like the StarCraft version of an Ewok, and they do some crazy stuff with them.
I was gonna say, it suddenly makes sense that there's a StarCraft version of the Ewoks when we learned that StarCraft was originally Star Wars.
True. Yeah, true. It all makes sense. We have a suing coming. We have a lawsuit is coming. Oh no. But that leads us into our next piece of news here. That leads us into the Blizzard Classic Cup. For those that do not remember, for those who maybe it slipped your mind, if you recall, BlizzCon this year will have StarCraft. It's been a long, long time, but BlizzCon did stop for a long time as well. True, true. Coming into COVID, during the COVID era of StarCraft, or just the COVID era period. I don't know why I had to say COVID. I'm just so used to saying the COVID era of StarCraft. That's just in my brain. That's just what it is. Aye, aye, aye. But BlizzCon was gone for a long time. Recently came back, and it was announced a couple of months ago that StarCraft would have an event at BlizzCon. But it's not going to be like the end of year championship like it was in many years past. Instead, it's going to be more of like a show match event, which is what we knew coming into it. If you remember, we spoke about this when the initial announcement happened. But back in 2020, pre-COVID, when it was announced that ESL were taking over, when they were taking over the WCS circuit and it was turning into the EPT circuit instead, when that first announcement happened, BlizzCon was going to happen in 2020, and what was stated was that even though Blizzard won't be handling StarCraft events anymore, there still will be StarCraft events at BlizzCon, but like show matches, like Legend show matches, maybe some Archon mode, maybe some StarCraft, said Evolution, StarCraft Remastered, I meant to say, maybe some like some old school like best of 7 or best of 9 show matches with like retired players as well, like some more like fun-ish events, and maybe some actual like higher level play like a Cyril versus Mara or something, but in a more show matchy kind of context, less so like a big bracket and end of year final sort of thing. And then BlizzCon was cancelled. BlizzCon was cancelled, COVID happened, everything got locked down, and everything kind of changed. But this was the original plan many years ago, and now we're kind of getting back to that here again, where BlizzCon or Blizzard, they're not taking the role of hosting like an end of year finals again, but they're going to be hosting the Blizzard Classic Cup. It sounds like, I remember there was like a little bit more details of it revealed previously, but it sounds almost like a triathlon where they're going to be having these quote unquote team captains, and they're going to be drafting players from different Blizzard esports of Warcraft 3, potentially StarCraft Remastered, StarCraft 2, Overwatch, Blizzard Heroes of the Storm, right? Basically, all these different titles which have Hearthstone, true Hearthstone. Maybe they might even incorporate like WoW Arena. They might go that far as well. But they're going to be incorporating different Blizzard title esports titles, and they're all going to be a part of one big event. I mean, you can even see it here in the logo. Actually, you can see the StarCraft Remastered logo, StarCraft 2 logo, Warcraft 3, and Heroes of the Storm. So I mean, that tells us already, right? So there you go. That those are. It's like going to be the 4 titles, and they're going to be drafting players in each of those esports, and they're going to be playing against each other and gaining points in each esport for their total team. And then said drafted team will become the champion of the Blizzard Cup, or the Classic Cup, I should say. So again, it's a different kind of show matchy event that involves different esports titles under Blizzard, of course. And it looks like they're soon to announce some of the captains. I'm assuming this is some of the captains and not the only captains. Based on the silhouettes, it looks like Nick and Dan. It looks like Tasis on the left and Artosis on the right. Like I was under the assumption that there would be like more captains, like there'd be like 5 or 6 or something. So then there'd be like more matches held. It would be a bit of a shame if it's only 2. If it's only 2 captains and it's just basically like a 1v1 instead of having like other captains involved from other titles. Like I assumed that it was going to be like, oh, maybe there's going to be like a StarCraft 2 captain from the StarCraft 2 scene, and then there'll be like a Warcraft 3 captain, like a Todd or a Kaldor or something like that, and then like a Heroes captain or something, like a captain who's more ingrained and tied to one of the esports titles. But of course, I have to branch out and draft players from other esports titles that maybe they're less familiar with. That was the assumption, but based on this graphic that we're seeing, it looks like it might just be 2 teams, and it might just be Nick and Dan instead, which is a bit of a shame if that's the case. I was looking forward to it being like a little bit more than that, but yeah, there you go. I mean, we'll see if they maybe incorporate some other some other casters, some other captains. We still have limited information as to what the event is, and just like last time, the event can always change, right? Like there's still a lot of time in between here, now, and BlizzCon. BlizzCon, who I think back in the day was in October, November, which I think is still in October, November. I don't know if they've moved BlizzCon since then,
Normally,
but
BlizzCon was like on the beginning of November, and I remember that specifically because that was around Mike Morhaim's birthday every time. So I don't know if that was
yeah, yeah.
intentional or not.
Well, that's why I'm saying that I don't know if they've sent, because it's the return of BlizzCon. I don't know if they've moved it.
I think this year is earlier. I think it's like June or something.
So just double checking here, it looks like BlizzCon 2026 is going to be September. There you go, September instead. So it is going to be earlier than in years past, where previously it was in November, but now it is going to be mid-September. So it is going to be a little bit earlier than previously, but there's still a lot of time in between now and September, in between now and BlizzCon, for details to be changed and for them to like refine what the BlizzCon, the Classic Cup is going to be. So there's still time for that to happen. But otherwise, that leads us into our last piece of news here, and that is going to be the RSL Revival, the Revival StarCraft League Revive SC2 map pool for Season 4, the first season of the year. If you recall, in previous seasons, they were very adamant. I say adamant. They were very keen on featuring some new maps, especially that were upcoming in the TLMC, to be able to showcase them and to have a bit of a breath of fresh air when it comes to the event itself. So we have 3 maps added here, replacing previous 3 maps. Missing You Today, which was a part of the previous TLMC, Throne of the Dunes, also part of the previous TLMC, and Necropolis, which I can't quite recall. It might have also been a part of the previous TLMC. But Missing You Today and Throne of Dunes did make it into the top 16, if I recall correctly. Obviously did not make it into the ladder, but did make it into the upper echelons of Team Liquid map contests in the previous edition. So these are maps that we've actually casted on. We've hosted tournaments on these maps. It's interesting that they were both added here. I don't think I like the idea of them adding it. So very quickly, we have 10,000 Feet, Celestial Enclave, Mothership, Old Republic, Ruby Rock, and Title Citadel. Those are the 6 maps that are staying in from the current map pool. We are going to be removing Tourmaline, which is a rush map, White Rabbit, which is a more macro-oriented map, and we're also going to be removing, what's the other one? Winter Madness, that's it, which is also a more macro map. So 2 macro maps and a rush map. So Winter Madness, White Rabbit, and Tourmaline. They're going to be replaced by Missing You Today, Throne of Dunes, and Necropolis. Missing You Today, if you recall, was a massive map, and one of the big criticisms that I had about Missing You Today was how big it is. Not just that, but how defendable it is, how easy it is to get up to 4 or 5 bases, kind of take over your own corner of the map. If you remember, there was also 2 gold bases in the corner, which would benefit, say, Protoss in late game PvT to gain map control. There were definitely some criticisms that I levied about it. Similar with Throne of Dunes, where Throne of Dunes you could also turtle up quite well on towards a 4 and even 5 base setup. I guess it makes sense though if they're going to be replacing White Rabbit and replacing Winter Madness. I guess they're decent replacements. I can't quite recall what Necropolis is though, and if you're replacing Tourmaline, I would hope that that's a rush map. I would hope. But we'll see. I'm a little bit disappointed that these are TLMC maps. I would have loved to have seen some maps that we haven't seen before, which will happen last season, right? Last season, I think Avex, he stepped in and he submitted a bunch of maps, which he was working on at the time, and they were crazy. Like they were quirky, and it was that straight up was a breath of fresh air. To me, this is like, we're rehashing maps we already covered before. Like it's like it's a little bit less, at least as someone who covered all these maps previously, like it's to me at least it's already a little bit played out, and it's like we already experienced a bunch of games on these maps. We already kind of know what to expect from these maps as well. I'm saying that except for Necropolis, because I can't quite recall if that was a part of the TLMC. I would have loved Dream and Scars here, right? If we were going to rehash Dream and Scars, the other 4-player small map as well, which I can't quite remember the name. But yeah, there were definitely a lot of really unique, quirky maps that deserved to be showcased, but that did not make it into the top 16 of TLMC. Dream and Scars is the obvious one, but there's another that's kind of like slipping my mind. There was also like 4-player with the monorail systems, like connecting the bases on the edge. Like that was crazy. Give us more of that. Like,
It was like something in Faith, I want to say. Like it was a similar kind of title.
Yeah, yeah, it was similar to Dream and Scars. It was like, yeah, it was like something in Faith. But yeah, yeah, like those are the kind of like quirky maps that I would have loved to have seen here instead. So I'll be honest, I'm not too excited about the new maps that were added. I'm not too thrilled about Missing You Today and Throne of Dunes. I'm a little bit more excited for Necropolis, just because Necropolis wasn't the top 16, right? It wasn't a part of the top 16, whereas Throne of Dunes and Missing You Today was a part of the top 16.
What do you mean? You loved Throne of Dunes. It was the Diablo map.
It was a Diablo
I
map, yes. It
remember
was a
you had
Diablo
so
2 map.
many rants about it.
I had so many ramps with my little ruler, like measuring out the right hand side, showing that the top base, the high ground expansion can cut off any kind of run bys and counterattacks on the right side alleyway. So you have a really safe fourth base, so you can just turtle up on 5 bases. I remember my houses on that map. I remember it. It's get it out of here. Ay, ay, ay. But yeah, yeah. Personally, I would have liked to have seen just some fresh maps. I say fresh maps again, maps that weren't in the top 16 of TLMC. But regardless, I look forward to Necropolis at least, and we have our confirmed map pool. We do have it. As that leads us into our big event for the week, and that was Pigsty Festival number 7.5. It did wrap up this week, of course. That was our next big premier event. I say premier event did reach 10,000 USD.
I believe it's 7.0, not 7.5.
I was thinking of OSC Elite Rising Star 17.5. So 7.0. But it did reach $10,000 when it comes to crowdfunding, when it comes to money raised, and I believe there was also like an excess of around $6,000 for the next Pig Fest. So very, very successful. I do appreciate that that Pig didn't just donate everything to the one event. I think that is a mistake that some events have done in the past, where it's a little bit wiser to have like a cap, and then if you get anything past that cap, put it to the next one, right? Put it to the next one, because it's not about having like one big event. It's about having like a sustainable, a sustainable format of events, throughout the course of a year and throughout the course of years to come as well, right? You want it to be sustainable. You don't want to just like raise for one big event, then have nothing left for the next one. So it is really cool to see. That's almost a $6.5 or $6.4 thousand were raised for the next Pigsty Festival. Really cool to see. Meanwhile, we had already gone through the group stage, if I recall correctly. Yes, we had already gone through the group stage, and now we can go through the playoff bracket, which took place over the weekend. So coming into this event, coming into the playoffs, it was double elimination. We did have our top Terran players, Maru and Clem. They're the two top Terran players in the world. Then had our Zerg players in Cyril, Raynor, and Solar. Those are the top 3 Zerg players in the world. And then we had Hero and Showtime as the top 2 Protosses. Bearing in mind, this is literally the best players in the world. You're not missing anyone. You can expand it out and be like, okay, top 3 Terran would be Cure, top 3 Protoss would be like MaxPax. But remember, MaxPax was unable to compete in this event. He was disqualified because he would not show his webcam, of course. Cams were a requirement for this event, and of course MaxPax does not use cams, so he was not able to compete in the Pigsty Festival. Same with typical offline events. So outside of that, these are the best players in the world, and we had a pretty impressive showing here. Maru takes down Cyril 4-2 in the upper bracket. Bearing in mind that Maru, he had a really rough 2025. I've been very vocal about this, but Maru had a very disappointing 2025, is what I will say, compared to 2024, and even coming into this year, where Maru did struggle that much more. I've had some Maru enthusiasts be like, "Oh, but Maru, he won DreamHack last year," and I'm like, "Yep." I was disappointed with his performance at DreamHack last year. Like, I 100% stand by that. So Maru, he was very, I would say, very constrained when it came to his play styles. He was very confined, and it wasn't necessarily the Maru that we know and love. But that changed coming in towards the end of the year, the end of 2025. We saw that the meta shifted. We got the new patch. We got the new map pool. And previously, Maru, he was playing a lot of mech. He was turtling up quite heavily. He was going for a lot of ARXs as well. He was very one note, or really 2 notes. Like, he was also going for a lot of all-ins and TVP. He was very samey, I think is what I will say. But coming in towards the end of 2025, Maru, he started to open up again. Everyone did, because of the patch and because of the map pool. And Maru, he started being more active and more aggressive, and had a lot more versatility when it came to his builds of choices as well. And he's been looking a lot more impressive coming into 2026, much more impressive than last year. So it's very exciting to see kind of the rise of Maru in recent months, and that culminates into this result, which is crazy to take down Serral 4-2. That is a huge win, as Serral is the best Zerg player in the world. Scrolling down, we had Clem versus Raynor. Again, 2 TVZs back to back. Clem takes down Raynor at 4-1. A big win there for Clem, and oh. Yeah, big win there for Clem. Am I crazy? Am I missing something? Wait, what? What is happening? How did? Wait, what? Am I crazy, Koopa? Am I crazy?
What? What's up?
Am I? Did I lose my mind? So sorry. So the bracket is a little bit weird. Okay. So I'm not crazy. So Maru, because the Maru versus Showtime match is on the bottom, but it should be on the top. Like someone needs to
Kind
fix
of,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, it's reversed. I was confused because I was like, Maru takes down Serral, Clem takes down Raynor, so it should be Maru versus Clem, and we finally get that matchup we've been waiting for years, and we don't get it. we still don't get it. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. But yeah, it's a little bit perplexing because, yeah, I guess they were waiting for whoever comes in from the lower bracket. It's a really unique format. Yeah, it's really unique because both Maru and Clem made it to the next round, and then they had to wait for the lower bracket quarterfinals before their next opponents. Kind of weird. But when it comes to the lower bracket,
double elimination, I will say that.
No, it's a unique format for sure. Hero took down Solo 4-2. Showtime took down Shin 4-0 as well to make it through into the next rounds. Showtime 4-1 Raynor. That's a big win actually. Like the last time they had a long series like that was the EWC European qualifiers. That was like half a year ago, where it went all the way to the ace match and Raynor barely clutched it out over Showtime. This is a big win. This is a best of 7 that Showtime took over Raynor. Insanely big win here for Showtime. GG, well played. Bearing in mind, this is a Raynor who is in form, by the way. I know a lot of people like to say whenever they see like one of their favorite players lose a series, they say washed. But Raynor, he is very much so in form at the moment. There's a reason why he performed so well at Thunderfire, for example. Did Raynor, he beat Maru at RSL the offline finals in December, right? Like Raynor's the one who's beating Maru. Raynor's the one that went to the ace match against Hero in the finals of Thunderfire as well. Like Raynor is very much so in form, so for him to go down to Showtime here and to Clem is big. Is huge. Scrolling on over here, Serral takes down Hero 4-1. Big win for Serral. It does knock him down, especially considering Hero's been winning everything. Right? We've been harping on Hero winning the RSL finals, winning Thunderfire, winning Rongi Cup as well, winning all these big events, and for that to start to die down a little bit, and for Serral to bring him down here and now, getting his revenge because Hero did beat Serral previously. GG, well played, as Serral does get his revenge over Hero, advancing into the semifinals. Serral, he does get his series versus Clem, and he does bring him down. That's a big win for Serral, not gonna lie. Historically, Clem has had the better TVZ over Serral. Historically, in recent years, like Clem has had the stronger winning record by far over Serral. When was the last time Serral beat Clem, actually? Hold on, I want to look into this, because it's been a while. Like Clem has been the dominant force for a while at this point. And I would often say that Raynor's had a better showing against Clem than Serral has. So quickly double checking. Let's see. Serral versus Clem. So Clem 3-0'd Serral at Home Story Cup. Clem, he took down Serral 3-1. Clem did lose the series to Serral at Masters of the Game, and then he instantly beat him, if you recall, to win the tournament. Yeah, to win the event. So technically, he didn't even lose there because he won in the rematch. Yeah, it's been a long time. Fun fact, okay, so Clem, he 4-3'd Serral at PiG slide number 6. He took him down at Star Zagora, took him down in Big Rain Bouts, took him down in Maestros, took him down in Home Story Cup. The last time that Serral beat Clem was in Sty Festival number 5.0. And Serral beat Clem once in 2025. Just once. And he's lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different times. And even in 2024, Cyril beat Clem once at IM Katowice 2024, and Clem beat Cyril at Home Story Cup and at EWC. Like again, it's a rare sight to see Cyril beating Clem. It happens once a year. Happening once in 2024, once in 2025, and now once here in 2026. So just to reemphasize just how big of a result that is for Cyril to beat Clem. GG. GG, well played. Very impressive result there by Cyril to defeat Clem, and maybe that was a sign of things to come. Maru takes down Showtime 4-0, and then Cyril wins the entire event 5-1 over Maru. GG. GG, well played. Very strong showing here by our reigning world champion. Cyril, I would say that his ZVT, specifically against Clem, has always been very shaky. As I mentioned, Cyril rarely beats Clem over the past couple of years, so to see him take him down here and win the entire tournament, that is a huge win for Cyril. Congratulations. Congratulations here to Cyril, taking down the best Protoss and Terran players in the world in this tournament. Did avoid Raynor, but again, it was only recently that Cyril did beat Raynor in the previous event, of course, in Home Story Cup.
I would also like to add that if anyone is interested in Cyril's playstyle specifically, after the finals, PiG had a lengthy interview with him talking about all the strategies and like the decisions that he's made. So it was a very interesting, like, you know, to just listen to Cyril analyze what has happened during the tournament. So if you're interested in that, then I recommend the VODs on PiG's channel.
Yeah, for sure. Do recommend it, and definitely something I'm going to be looking into as well. So again, congratulations to Cyril for becoming the Sty Festival #7 champion. GG, well played. Big win here for Cyril. Quickly going over some of the other stats here we did speak on. All right, the most important thing actually. So yeah, you know, it's nice to know that Cyril won the event. It's nice. But what's really important is who won the cutest pet competition. that's
that's
it really what matters here.
That's the real competition there.
Yeah. This is where all the big bucks are. This is where that $6,000 went actually. This in the end, shout out to, as this was, I believe, a fan vote, but in the end we had Solar as number 6. If you remember, we thought Solar's pet dog was number 5, if you recall, but no, Solar was number 6 actually. To
be fair, I think Solar has multiple dogs. In our defense, maybe.
So PiG, I believe he revealed all the pet doggos. One moment. Okay, number 1 is Björn's dog Rennie, which we already knew about, of course. That was the obvious one. Björn has a very distinct puppy.
It's very distinct, but also it's a very like storied puppy, because if you remember, this is the one. For those who may not know the story, this is the one he got back years ago as a gift, essentially, for his results in tournament.
Yeah. He performed well in GSL to be able to get a pet dog. He was able to have it at the team house. I believe it wasn't winning, of course. It was GSL. It was getting into the top. I think he made it to the semifinals or quarterfinals. One of the two in individual league. So number 2 is Monxil, who is Kira's pet dog. So that's Kira, number 2. Number 3, I didn't know this. Number 3 is Percival. Percival has 2 cats. So there we go. Percival does have 2 very lovely cats as the third picture. Number 4, who's looking very shocked to have been taken a photo of, is Malloy, is Young Yakov. Young Yakov's pet cat is number 4. Number 5, who we thought was Solar's, was actually Shin. Shin has Nori. Shin, a pet puppy as well, pet poodle-ish puppy, as number 5. Number 6, of course, was Solar, who did win the entire thing. Maybe cheating a little bit, having the little love heart on the on the forehead, but there we go. Does win the cutest competition. Number 7 is Raynor. I had no idea, but Raynor has a pet puppy. Triss.
You know what? That makes sense, because it's clearly like a young puppy, so it's clearly like a new dog owner, so it makes sense that it would be Raynor. Okay.
And Raynor's number 7. And number 8 is Hero's pet puppy, Tapon. So number 8 was Hero. There you go. Most important competition. And of course, Sola's pet Peanut did end up winning. So congratulations, congratulations to Cyril, congratulations to Peanut, and to Solar. Congrats. I'm curious if they got a bonus for that or not. Curious. But that leads us into our next big event. That is going to be Dave Testa, the Dave Testa Open. Dave, his events are very irregular, very irregular. They happen every now and then. It's just, at a whim, bam, you're going to have a Dave Testa Open. This is the first one of 2026, and we didn't have a single one in 2025. That's how irregular they are. Again, the last one was in 2024 instead. But this event was actually hosted on the Patches Balance mod. Decent prize pool of 200 USD. And we had a hefty turnout as well. Jesus, I mean, a greater prize pool does allow for that. And of course, we had the recent update, so now we can actually be using these mods. Now they can be updated, and now they can be played on as well. So thankfully, that does open up the possibility for events like this. A really good turnout. We had Geralt, we had Milky Cow, we had Christiana, we had Art, Inexorable, we had Hacker's Top, we had a Mini Zerk as well. Plenty of players that are regulars when it comes to the Open Cup circuit. And in the end, we had our two finalists. It was Geralt and Christiana. I would say that coming into this, those are the two favored players. But remember, this is on a balance. Sorry, this is on a custom balance mod, so anything could happen and anything can be changed as well. And Geralt comes out on top, 3-1. GG, well played. It's hard to kind of judge the strength or the play of these players just because it is on a custom mod. So because of that, everything kind of goes out the window a little bit, especially with Patches' mod, because there are just so many changes and so many upgrades, and it's just a very different kind of game. It's a very different kind of game. But congratulations to Geralt nonetheless for claiming the win. GG. GG well played. Shout out to Dave for hosting the event. That leads us into the Amateur League Weeklies. Amateur League Weekly number 152. Here we have the regular weekly tournaments here, where each weekly has its own kind of MMR range or league range and league restrictions. For the initial weekly, we have the Bronze to Platinum tournament. Here we had some of our regulars. We had Jackals, we had X-Decker, we had Lucid Shadow as well. Only 3 players in the end. Lucid Shadow does win 3-0 over Jackals in the finals. Congratulations here to Lucid Shadow. That leads us into the Veteran Edition. This is for Diamond 3 and Diamond 2 League players. Here we had Cyril, another regular. Cyril does take down Hangman 2-0, takes down Sugarcoat the second 2-0, and takes down Lauren 3-1 in the finals. Congratulations here to Cyril for becoming our veteran champion this week. Up next, we had our Prestige Weekly for Diamond 1 to Masters 2. This is typically the biggest kind of MR range, or the biggest kind of player participation, I should say. Here we had player interest. We had Mathix. We had Mathix or Matrix taking down Defiance 2-0, taking down Steez 2-1. Steez, I believe, was the previous champion, and takes down Ophthalmologist, who we actually have casted recently in the Pegasaur Cups. In Pegasaur Cups, Ophthalmologist has been a more regular in that event. I do recall we had a big chat discussion about what his name means and what he's studying. Is he dissecting octopuses? Is he entranced and enamored with the number 8? Is it related to the month of October? Maybe he only does work in October and has the rest of the year off. It's hard to say. But regardless, congratulations to Matrix for taking out Ophthalmologist 2-0 and then 3-1 in the grand finals. GG, well played. That leads us into the Elite Edition for Masters 1 to GM, and here we did have a series. We had a singular best of 5. Inexorable takes down Havertz 3-0. GG well played here to Inexorable. Does claim the win, does take the series, and is this week's champion. That leads us into more amateur events. That leads us into our own monthly tournament, the Sea Duckling Open number 142. Our events have been running for many years, since the inception of the CranKy Ducklings back in the day, and it has now become, instead of a weekly, it used to be a weekly, then a bi-weekly, now is a monthly event, and we had a new player taking it out, or going through. Did play in MSO previously, but I believe this is their first Sea Duckling Open. Does take down Muckaboy 2-0, takes down Liberty 2-1, takes down Troy Galaxy 2-1, and takes down Blue Knight 3-0 in the grand finals. Star Knight is going to be our champion, 3-0 over Blue Knight. The Battle of the Knights.
I was gonna say, I think the important part for this tournament is what the finals were, because I will tell you, it was not easy to cast, especially since Star Knight decided to play blue, and every intro was a struggle.
Oh no. And this was actually a rematch, by the way, if you recall, because this is not the first time they've played each other. MSO number 100. Master 1 Open number 100, they played in the first round, and Blue Knight did defeat Star Knight 2-1. So there was a bit of a backstory and history between the two players in our tournaments. So Blue Knight did beat Star Knight in MSO. Star Knight beats Blue Knight here a week later in SDO. Crazy. So GG Well Played on that rematch win. Congratulations to Star Knight for winning there and for becoming our champion this month, I should say. And hopefully we can see more of Star Knight, Blue Knight, and the others in the future, and the other players. So we have a couple of newcomers as well, like T-City and Goresimo? Goresimo. There's a lot of letters in there. But regardless, it was great to see some of the new faces and newcomers to the tournament. That leads us into the Ladder Legends Academy Amateur Showdown number 2. This, I believe, is MR restricted, unlike the previous Academy events. 4.5k MR and below. This is around M2 and below, or like really, like M3 and below, like low M2, low Masters 2 and below. Are facing off here. We had some regulars that we are familiar with. We had Battle Beast, we had Defiance, we had Cypher. Chocolate was competing as well, and we've been seeing a little bit more Chocolate as of late. Haroku, all facing off here in the end. Battle Beast does claim the win. 2-1 over Defiance, 2-0 over Cypher, and 3-0 over Chocolate. Congratulations to Battle Beast. GG. GG Well Played does claim the win, and is going to be this edition's Ladder Legends champion. That leads us into Maradecos, who, again, I haven't seen in quite some time, but recently has been more active as of late as well. Big shout out to Maradecos. It looks like he is hosting his own league, hosting and wrapping up his own league as well. Looks like it did actually begin last year in November, but only recently was able to wrap up. So the group stage was back in November. The playoffs was this year. We did have some big players, actually. Soon was here. Soon. Let's go. Again, Maradecos, he is a German caster. He does cast in German, of course. He does have an active YouTube channel, but again, he used to cover a lot more StarCraft. Nowadays, I feel like he's toned it down a little bit at least. Did tone it down. Sorry, just making sure we're not missing anything. Did turn it down a little bit here, but we did have the playoffs and the finale here of his League number 1, or League 14, League 1, as the previous leagues, I believe, were for lower level players, which were wrapped up last year. Here at Frisk takes down Soon 3-1. We had Frisk takes down Dronehard 3-2, and then Winkle takes down Frisk 3-0. GG, well played. Congratulations to Winkle, a player that I'm very unfamiliar with. Like, looking at these players, I know who Soon is. I'm familiar with Soon. I'm familiar with Dronehard. I would favor them over the others. I'm very unfamiliar with Frisk and Winkle. So GG. GG, well played. Again, a player that I'm very unfamiliar with, that has posted some good results as of late. Has posted some strong results as of late. GG, well played. And a shout out to Maradecos for hosting the event, for casting the event. It did take some time for it to get underway, but did wrap up. That leads us into Nation League. Nation League here, the playoffs had begun. They have begun, and the quarterfinals have concluded. Here we had Hungary. Hungary went up against Czechia in the Nation League playoffs. Here we had Hungary taking down Czechia 5-1. Oh my god, in a best of 7. We had Bali taking down Rathak 2-0. We had Cheese? We had Cheese taking down Beery 2-0. We had Order GG and Majti tied 1-1 scoreline. So a strong showing there from Hungary, advancing on into the semifinals. Then had Kazakhstan versus Sweden. Speaking of one-sided matches, oh my god, Kazakhstan, calm down. They take down Sweden 6-0. We had Chris Gross 2-0 over System. We had Time Rainer up against Gargoyle, also takes them down 2-0. And then Nodim takes down Cost Phoenix 2-0 as well. Strong showing here from Kazakhstan, advancing on to the semis. Meanwhile, we had Italy versus Ukraine. Oh, we have a tie. We have a tied scoreline here. There's still an ace match to break that tie, but it looks like they have rescheduled and have yet to play that ace match. So we had Ilya taking down Escanor 2-0. We had Yayuka, and Oriov tied 1-1. We then had Garlard taking down Andro 2-0 as well. So tied 3-3. The ace match is going to be a best of 1 between Yayuka and Oriov in that best of 1 on the Old Republic. Still yet to be played out. Soon TM.
I just want to say, as always, with this kind of tournaments, I have to give a shout out to creative names. And I did giggle at Oreo. because it's not Orion, you know? It's Orion. Shaking my head.
Yes. God damn it. We then had next series here, Taiwan, Japan up against Brazil. Ooh, and if you recall, I was favoring Brazil. I was favoring Brazil to go far in this event, and they did go far, but no further. As Ian takes down Comeseto, I believe. Yeah, Comeseto 2-0. We then had Ares taking down his opponent 2-0. We then had Ming OAO taking down Lovatil 2-0 to wrap things up and to claim the win for Taiwan/Japan. GG, well played. They do advance on into the semi, so we have our top 3 teams. We have Hungary, Kazakhstan, Taiwan, Japan, and we'll be joined by either Italy or Ukraine in those semifinals. Again, the ace match is still yet to be played out. Still yet to be played out. Something else that's really cool here is, if you scroll down a little bit further, is that there is a consolation tournament. Looks like basically the teams that got knocked out earlier in the group stage get to play in another bracket just to play out some games. There is no prize money, there is no prize pool. It is just for bragging rights, just for notoriety, just for the fun and the love of the game. Let's go, let's go. So we do have the other teams still competing. Unfortunately, Ecuador did forfeits, so that they're not a part of this portion of the event either, unfortunately. So there was a walkover win. Germany does walkover win into the second round. We had Poland over Guatemala. We had last ketchup. Last ketchup takes down Maximo 2-0. We had Kosit tied 1-1 with Boreal, and we had Düsseldorf getting a walkover win over Sans Savior. Poland, they do advance on to the next round. Then had Bolivia versus the US of A. We had Endeavor and Heyman tied 1-1. We had Charlie Cooks and Defiance tied 1-1. We had Havertz and Milik Jr. tied 1-1. And then we had Ace Match 2v2. Hold up. Is that normal? Is that standard? Is that meant to happen? The ace match was a 2v2 here, and Charlie Cooks and Havertz do win 1-0 over Medic Jr. and Defiance. GG, well played. I'm curious if that was planned or if they just did that on a whim. I guess we'll find out for the next ace matches, but just a random 2v2. Okay. Scrolling down a little bit further. No, yeah, I think it was just on a whim, because if you look at the first round, for Guatemala versus Poland, the ace match is meant to be the Old Republic. If you look at Germany and Ecuador, it's also the Old Republic. And if you look at Peru versus Costa Rica, Old Republic there as well. So by default, it looks like, I mean, the maps were chosen ahead of time. By default, it was going to be on the Old Republic. But it looks like they did agree on a 2v2 instead. Okay, let's go. Meanwhile, that leads us, I mean, it's all for fun anyway. That leads us into the final round here, Peru versus Costa Rica. Peru does take the win of 5-1. We had Letos over Amaterasu, Latos and Amaterasu, they tie 1-1. We had Mike Savage 2-0 over Neo Shine, and Password 2-0 over Wither. GG, well played. Next round is going to be Czechia versus Poland, Sweden versus Bolivia, Germany versus someone eventually, and Brazil versus Peru.
So we have System updating us in the chat that it is in the rules that you can choose to do a 2v2 in the ace. So there you go. So they have the option. They have the option to 2v2 in the ace match. And that's wild, by the way. But I appreciate it. Is that rule also for the main event, for the playoffs? If so, that'd be crazy. That would be crazy. But GG, well played. And again, of course, we'll be back with updates regarding the semifinals and the rest of the Consolation Cup as well. We'll get there. Oh, there you go. Letting us know that's also applicable to the playoffs. Do they ever make use of that? We'll see. Hopefully at some point they do. That leads us into the Thermal 2v2 Circuit March edition. Bearing in mind we did not cast this event, we did work behind the scenes on running the event instead, covered by Uwu, Thermal, Steadfast, and Wardy. When it comes to the event itself, double elimination here. A lot of games, a lot of matches. It was a 6-hour tournament. It was crazy. Oh my god. And in the end, we had some interesting pairings, some of them for the first time, but it does make sense. Cure and Rogue, they did pair up together here to compete. Interesting pairing. I don't think they've ever played together before, I'll be honest. I think maybe in the previous week, actually, or month, I should say. But Cure and Rogue, they did join forces. They take down Young Jakob and Percival 2-0. Then had Shin and Hero take down Def Mars and Zardian 2-0. I believe in the previous edition, it was Hero and Maru. I believe they were playing together. And I think Shin was playing with someone else. Was it Shin and Byan? I know that Byan was passed around a little bit. I know that Byan, he played with Solar. He played with Percival. I think Byan's been hopping around.
But yeah, an interesting new pairing here with Hero and Shin, the ex CJ boys. True, true. Let's go. So they did join up. Are they did they I forget, did they make a team for the What Used to Be Monday? Like CJ Entus?
They did. It's called Not CJ Enters.
There you go. You should have said no, it's not CJ Entus. True, true. It's but this might be part of the reason why they're playing together here is to get experience because 2v2s are part of that event as well, if you recall. It is a part of that. So there's value in gaining experience in 2v2. Meanwhile, we had Max and Lambo. We had Skills and Sunset for the first time. I know they did surprise many making it as far as they did, considering that Sunset is a lower tier player. We had Clement, Trigger, and of course Uwu Thermal and Cyril making a deep run as well. Quickly going over the pairings, looks like Spirit was unavailable. Typically, Spirit does play with Max Packs, but Spirit was unavailable, and I think this might be one of the first times that Lambo's played with Max Packs instead. Usually, Lambo is with Hearthstone, or with Showtime, or with some of these other players, but no, this time Lambo steps into the ring with Max Packs instead, and they claim the entire thing. They 2-1 Euthermal and Cyril, they 2-1 Kira and Rogue, and they 2-0 Hero and Shin in the finals. GG. GG, well played, strong showing there by Maxbo? Lampax? What's better? What are you going for, Kura?
I mean, Lampax just make me think of a lamp. It's just so silly. But then Maxbo sounds like a dance, so I don't even know.
I like the Lampax. Beautiful.
Actually, I'm pretty sure the chat of Uthermal decided on Mambo.
What? The Mambo. Yeah, I like it. I like it. It's good. It's good. Yeah, the Mambo. Beautiful, beautiful. So congratulations to Max Fax, to the Mambo team, to Team Mambo, if you will, for claiming the win here. And again, this is leading into the eventual end of year circuit. I say end of year, the end of season circuit, as I believe that is scheduled for May. For June-ish era. I think May is going to be the last monthly, and then it leads into this season finals. So we're kind of wrapping up with it already.
I will also point out that Uthermal did mention that there will still be a few bonus caps, so if you want to sign up for those, then also look out for the announcement. There shouldn't be one this weekend, but maybe in the next one.
There you go. There you go. So do keep an eye out for those bonus caps. Oh. Meanwhile, that leads us into our next big event. That leads us into the Baje Cup. Is this related to Jeshi? Hold on. Here we go. We have the Baje Cup. Is the 8th competition of the Mengshin Exchange Group. Huh. Yes, them. I understand. But quickly checking here, yeah, I'm not too familiar with the sponsors or with the organizer, but we do have an event being held here for the Chinese scene, for the Chinese circuit. It looks like it is limited to, I mean, it might be limited to a certain team, just because the upper echelon of players are not quite present here. I see Latte, for example, I see Void Seeker, but yeah, it looks like a more amateur event here for up-and-coming players, which is quite common in the Chinese scene. Honestly, like there's a lot of these events for more academy players or masters players or lower tier players and more restricted. It does happen quite often, so it is really great to see. Looks like top 17 get paid. Top 17 do earn prize money in some way. So again, not too heavy of a prize pool here either. It's around 70 USD, 72 USD, so nothing major. But again, it's a way to incentivize competition, incentivize play, and promote the up-and-coming players. Coming into this event, because I'm a little bit less familiar with these players, I don't really know who to favor, but regardless, it is going to be taking place over the course of the next month. It is scheduled to end by the end of March, so it's going to take a while to work through all the matches and work through all the groups. I would imagine that one of the reasons why it's going to take so long is every series it's casted. I would imagine. So that's going to be a lot of games, a lot of series, a lot of matches. Best of luck to the organizers. Best of luck to the casters. Best of luck. That leads us into the Fairy Cup. Fairy Cup number 16. The return of Fairy Cup, I believe the first one of 2026. And once again, this is an in-house tournament. So we have players from Fairy Cup from China, from Russia, from all around. They do face off in a group stage format here. So it was round robin, I believe. Yep, round robin group stage. We had 3 players facing off against each other. We had UD Soldier coming out on top in Group A, and we had Ear coming out on top in Group B. Very quickly though, that's a big announcement actually. But UD Soldier, if you remember, CSO Esports did step away, and part of that meant that UD Soldier was left teamless. He was left teamless as CSO Esports did kind of dissolve, or they stepped away from StarCraft. This was announced, what, I think 2 weeks ago at this point. And just double checking here, but yes, 26th of February, UD Soldier joined Little Fairy after leaving CSO Esports. So shout out to UD Soldier. That's why I found it a little bit weird that he was a part of this event. I was like, he's not on Little Fairy. I guess now he is. I guess now he is. So UD Soldier has found a new team. Best of luck. He is a very strong up-and-coming player. He's been getting some very, very good results as of late. Does come out on top in his group. Meanwhile, Group B, we had Ear. Ear comes out on top over Sanchovis and Malloy as well. So we had our top 2 players. They face off in a best of 5. In a best of 3 with 4 games. Gonna call that a best of 7. Yeah, it's okay. Look, it looks like that info box wasn't quite updated.
You don't understand.
Yeah. Looks like it wasn't updated, but yes, it was a best of 7. Ear does take down UD Soldier 4-0. Strong showing there by Ear. Very well done. Very impressive. Very impressive play. That's Zhao Chen. I think we've seen Ear play in other tournaments under a different name. Yeah. Just as a heads up. God damn it, I have to remember that. But GG well played. Congratulations to Ear for claiming the win for Fairy Cup number 16. That leads us into the Elpis Team League 2026 Cup itself. This is another event that is going to be taking place over the course of the month. It's going to be lasting the entirety of March. But interestingly enough, were there any qualifiers? No, they're just doing it raw here.
I think it's because it's not like full Team League season, but like a cup question mark. I'm not sure though.
Well, the thing is, like, we've never seen something like this. This is a round of 16 bracket with 16 different teams. It caught me off guard because I don't think we've ever seen something like that before. Yeah.
Also, I think they have a very interesting rule that each team needs a one of each race in each round.
Yeah, there you go. So once again, for those who are unfamiliar with the Chinese scene, we have all the big teams that are facing off. We have Astartes, we have Elpis, of course. We have a new team that I haven't seen before. This is Expeditionary Force, Chinese. We have Hello I Am. Hello. We have Team Hist, we have Kaldi, we have Little Fairy, PCEC, Protos the Best, Starlight Twinkle. There's no Starlight Twinkle Academy team, bear that in mind, so just regular Starlight Twinkle here. We have Super Kitty, we have 5 different Super Kitties. Let's go.
That's really how you feel the bracket. You just take 5 Super Kitties.
Yeah, exactly. Fill it up with the kitty. True. I believe Silky is somewhere in there because Silky is the ace player from Super Kitty. The downside of that is that Super Kitty's team is it's like spread thin, right? The rosters are very shallow, right? The rosters are very shallow because their team is spread out between 5 different teams, or their roster is spread out between 5 teams. Bear that in mind. And we have Toho Project as well. So a lot of these teams we're familiar with. The only one that I'm seeing for the first time is Expeditionary Force, who have their own logo, and Hello I Am. So those 2 teams, I don't know how to place. One of them has a notable on their roster. Let's see here. But yeah, I don't really have too high expectations, but I look forward to seeing how they play, how they compete. Oh, he's on 4-Leaf Clover. This is G and J. Okay, 20-year-old Zerg player. Interesting. I'm very unfamiliar, very unfamiliar with Yin. But best of luck to those teams. Otherwise, coming into this event, who do we favor here? Starlight Twinkle. They have a hefty roster. They've got Triple H, they've got Jolliwa, they've got Rewhite and Young Zest. So really hefty team. The other big team, I would say, is Elpis. They have Lemon, who may be the best player in the entire league. They have Oriana, they have SCV, they have Mickey. So Elpis is the other big one. Little Fairy is an interesting one. Looking at their roster, where's Shameless? Shameless is their ace player, 100%. And double checking here. Did he leave? Yo, hold on. Hold on. I didn't see him on. He joined a new team. Gopa. Okay, we got. Okay, so we're investigating here live, of course. UD Soldier. He joined a new team. He joined Team Little Fairy. Meanwhile, Seamus left Little Fairy. The drama? Did they take Seamus's salary and give it to UD Soldier?
I was gonna say, did they just trade players?
True. Hold on, let me just quickly double check something. So Seamus, he left Little Fairy the 20th of February, and I believe UD Soldier joined the 26th. Okay, so Seamus left first, so it makes sense that Little Fairy picked up UD Soldier to replace Seamus. So they lost Seamus first, and Seamus, he was picked up by Stowny Bulls, who, if you remember, we have seen that name before. I believe they're a team in one of the other Chinese team leagues.
No.
Rookie
They
World
are
Team
they
League?
are the team sign up for the Wordy Team League.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. So officially, Seamus has left Little Fairy and is a part of that.
I'm pretty
instead.
sure I've seen Nickrat on that team as well. Maybe I'm wrong, but like in game. But I
No, it's
think that
Wayne.
no, I think I
No,
see
yeah,
Nickrat
no,
on
no,
the
yeah,
team
yeah.
as well. But I don't know if this
Yeah,
is just
yeah.
like a partnership for the team league or if this is like an actual team.
No, it was Wayne as well. Wayne, he was on that clan. It was if you remember, we saw that during the 2v2 tournament. During the 2v2 tournament over in Europe, we took notice of the fact that we had a bunch of players with that clan tag, and Wayne was one of them as well. True.
Yes, I mean the S-Balls.
Sorry, not Wayne. I kept saying Wayne. Sorry, not Wayne. It was Gigi Machine.
Yeah.
And Young Yakov. Yeah. They had those IDs. Yeah. If you look at the Wikipedia pages, Young Yakov, I mean, he was already teamless, but he officially joined a team, and so did Gigi Machine. It's a little bit different because Gigi Machine and Young Yakov, they were teamless, right? They were teamless for a long time. Gigi Machine left 3D Clan a long time ago. Young Yakov left Platinum Heroes a long time ago as well. So they were teamless. So I guess technically, officially, they joined that team. It's different for Shameless because he was already on a team. Same with Nicarak. Did he officially leave as well? Yeah, he officially left Platinum Heroes. Wow. Okay. Does Stania Bulls mean anything, by the way? Does that...
I do not know, and I'm
last time.
scared to ask.
Hold on, what happens if I Google it? Fun fact, if I Google it, Seamus's Wikipedia page shows up. Wait, hold on. Stony Bulls appears to be a private... No. No, hold on. No, yeah, it's just... The only thing that it links to is Seamus's Wikipedia page, and Gigi Machine's Wikipedia page as well. Just links to StarCraft.
I feel like you should ask one of them to explain their team name.
Hold on, what is this? What have I just found? I found a Stony Bulls Boosty page. If you remember, Boosty is like Patreon. It's like Patreon, but I know that Hatsu has a Boosty, so it might be a little bit more like friendly towards or more known amongst like the Russian community. But here, I'll link it to you. But it's an official team. It's just crowdfunded. So see, we are a private. So this just in. Stony Bulls. They have their own logo as well. We are a private esports organization. The goal is to provide top StarCraft II players, or those who aspire to be top players in Russia, with money so they can train and improve. The team is fully supported on my personal initiative and at my expense from the money that I managed to hide from my wife. Let's go. If you would like to help the players in the team, you can contact me. You can contact me personally or subscribe to our booster, which is the Patreon. All our earnings will be transferred fully to players for salaries and bonuses. Our Telegram channel is Telegram. It's all about spirit. It's all about spirits. It's all about Stony Bulls. Okay. So this is an official team. It's an official team. It looks like someone went ahead and created this team, of course. Someone who's more or less funding it himself, maybe just a big fan of StarCraft, very passionate about StarCraft, and is supporting Nickrat, Shameless, Gigi Machine, and Young Yakov, and they have their own. They've got supporters on Boosty. They've got patrons,
That makes me
and you can
wonder.
donate to the team.
That makes me wonder if it's related to that like bootcamp kind of thing that they had like a few months ago. If you remember, there was a time when they all were like practicing together at one place.
Yeah, but there were other people involved there. Like there were like three or four other people there.
Yeah, but what I mean is
but
like maybe that was like a beginning of like some kind of partnership, and like maybe they continued it. I don't know.
maybe, or at least maybe like someone involved with that, got inspired or got motivated to do a little bit more with it. But I love that line. I love the team is fully supported on my personal initiative and at my expense from the money that I managed to hide from my wife. There you go. It's beautiful, beautiful. Oh, so wholesome, so wholesome. So yeah, basically I guess we have confirmation. So the team eventually, hopefully they get a proper Liquipedia page. But apparently the team that was made for the Water TV Team League is an official team, and as a result, Nickrat has left the Platinum Heroes and Shameless has left Little Fairy. They've left salaried teams to join their own team, where they're also kind of where they are getting some funds, of course, and when you can support them as well with their Boosty page. There you go. Give you a link in the chat. Look at that breaking news. Look at that copa. Crazy. See, we notice. We notice. I look at Little Fairy on the Elpis Team League. I see no Shameless. We look into it. We look into it. Okay.
The investigator is on the track.
Yes. Yes, exactly. PCC. Sorry. That was a big tangent. But again, I guess we just found out that there's a new team out there, and they're supporting Russian players, supporting Gigi Machine, Yakov, Shameless, and Nickrat. Best of luck to them. I mean, these are really young and really strong players, to be honest, right? Like Shameless, he's sub 20. Like Gigi Machine is sub 20. Like they're Nickrat's old man, like 23 years old.
I was gonna say, are they even sub 20 still? Like, it's been a few years though.
Shameless and Gigi Machine are.
Yeah, I guess they.
Nickrat, of course, a little bit older. Yeah, and Yakov, he's old Yakov now. True.
He's like
he's old man
Yakov.
Yeah, he's like 24. He's these are really strong players in the European region. Like they've been improving a lot over the past couple of years, and those are the players that we're kind of looking to kind of like break in and to break out as well. So it's really cool to see that they've created their own initiative. As Kura said, for those who are unaware, for those who haven't watched the PondCast, but there was like a boot camp that a bunch of these players went for, and including other players from Russia as well, where they kind of came together and they were practicing and preparing and training and improving for a period of time. Whether they do something like that again, hard to say, but regardless, it's really cool to see that that they're being supported in some way, and someone is taking the initiative to reach out and to help out these players as well, even if it's hidden from his wife. Best of luck, Pappy. Best of luck. Regardless, back to what we were getting into, the Elpis Team League. So we were the only reason why we looked into this is because I was going to say that Little Fairy is favored because they have Shameless, but Little Fairy no longer have Shameless. So they're, I would say, a little bit more of a middling of the road team instead, without their ace player. UD Soldier is a good replacement, but there is still like he's no Shameless exactly. So it's some big shoes to fill. Some big shoes to fill there. So the top teams that I'm looking at here are Elpis and Starlight Twinkle. Those are the top two teams. There are other teams like Super Kitty that have Silky, so they have like these big ace players. You have Team Hiss that have Kingslayer as well. I believe like Nanyu is in the mix as well, alongside Nanami Chiaki. Quickly checking, Nanami is on Team Elpis. Where is, I think Millennium Fox is on Astartes. I'm not too sure where Nanyu is. I'm sure Nanyu is somewhere. I think it's in PCEC. Yeah, I think Nanyu. Sorry. Nanyu and Millennium Fox are in PCEC. Okay. So they're a sleeper team. Mixu, Nanyu, Millennium Fox. They can do well together. For sure. I love how Super Kitty is spread out. There is a Super Kitty team kill. No. Super Kitty 3 versus Super Kitty 4. Not like this. Not like this. Elpis is the number 1 seed, and Side Twinkle is the number 2 seed. Yeah. So they're 1 and 2 seeds. They're
Once
split up
again.
on each half of the bracket.
Once again, they are
Uh-huh.
fighting for the title for who's the most Super Kitty. And I'm pretty
Yes,
sure
who's the
last time it
biggest
wasn't
bat?
actually Super Kitty 1. Just want to point
It
it
was
out.
not. It was not Super Kitty 1. Yeah. But yeah, so best of luck to the teams. Again, we'll see if anyone can stop Elpis and Starlight Twinkle from facing off in the finals. Best of luck. Best of luck here in this massive round 16 Team League bracket. Oh, crazy. Where were we? Okay, up next. That leads us into Legacy League Japan. Legacy League Japan number 493 open. Oh my god, where is my baby? There it is. Tapioca takes down Deadly Kitty 2-0. Takes down Noah Shirayuki. Takes down Sayark. And takes down Crimson 2-0 as well. Doesn't drop a single map. Este Tapioca. Still the best player in Japan. Doesn't drop a single map. Congratulations. We are missing Vaishravanya. Unless I'm missing it here, but there is no Vaishravanya. I do see Kazumon. I see Crimson, I see Akira, I see Hirakuya. But yeah, missing Vaishravanya this week. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Tapioca. Just doesn't stop winning. That leads us into Basilisk. The Basilisk Bring Brain Mouse number 108. So we have 3 show matches here. We have the Basilisk one, the fun one, and the good one. For the Basilisk one, we had Cure versus Trigger in a TVP. We had DNS versus Shino in a PVZ. And we had Special versus Mixu in a TVZ as well. Coming into the fun one, DNS takes down Shino 3-0. DNS, he's still got it. DNS, in my mind, he's retired. Like, he has not competed in quite some time.
Well,
which is a shame. Like, he's been a very...
here's the thing. DNS does not compete as much in tournaments. However, recently he's picked up on like coaching and stuff. So he seems to be more active in that sense. He's making like, tutorial videos and such.
Yeah, I'm quickly checking here, and this is the first time that DNS has competed in 2026. So it's been 3 months. This is the only event that he played in this year. So again, DNS, he has not been an active player in quite some time. It's a bit of a shame just because he is a very good player. I know that we were giving DNS and Shadown a lot of praise back when they were on Platinum Heroes, back when they had their like French division, their French team. I say French team, but they had their French players, and they were achieving a lot of success. Like, they were doing so well in WTL. Like, they were getting some big results. But of course, eventually they left Platinum Heroes, WTL ended, and yeah, DNS, he has taken a big step away from StarCraft in recent times, which is a bit of a shame. As you mentioned, maybe has taken more of a role of coach in recent times, but really cool to see him playing here against Shino for the first time this year, and does bring him down 3-0. Does bring him down. That leads us into the good one. TVZ between Special and Mixu. Special takes down Mixu 3-1. Special has also been very inactive in recent years, but if you recall, it was last year in the lead up to the HSL, the Hispanic StarCraft League, where Special came back to StarCraft. He came back to StarCraft, he started playing again, started streaming again, and of course, infamously has started coaching, or has, I think he either works for Ladder Legends or the other one. Like, there's like another coaching service the Special's a part of. But started fixating and focusing on that, and even streaming more often as well.
I think Special is in the other one. I think he's the one like with laser and some people.
Yeah, the other one. I like how
I don't know if they have a name. Like, I don't know if they have a proper name. That's the thing.
No. It's like this, okay? It's like we have the fun one, the good one, and the Basilisk one. We have the Ladder Legends one, and we have the other one. We got the other one.
There's more.
We got the other one.
More.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, didn't Platinum Heroes start like that as well?
Yeah, we got the Platinum one, we got the other one, and we got the Legend one.
The ladder one, the Platinum one, and the other one.
Yeah. Special's a part of the other one.
Of course.
So yeah. So with that, he takes down Mixu 3-1, a big win there for Special. That leads us into the Massless one, Trigger versus Cure, where Cure takes down Trigger 3-1. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Cure for claiming the win there over Trigger. Big win. Este Cure. as that leads us into the OSC events for the week. OSC weekly number 239. Ay, ay, ay. Again, this is a King of the Hill style tournament where the winner stays on, the loser is eliminated, and we have purely best of ones. And Björn does kick things off as the King of the Hill. He takes down Nightmare in the first round, Skillus after that, Minizerg, Hatsu, Cavalier, Percival as well. 6 wins in a row. Big win streak there for Björn before stopping and being abruptly stopped by Cristiano. Cristiano, the tuner himself, Cristiano, if you will, takes down Björn 1-0, takes down Inexorable, takes down GG Machine, Sevestes, Geralt, Ledalix, Baby Marine as well. 7 wins in a row. A bigger win streak there for Cristiano before Geralt is revived. Every now and then we do revive if there are no fresh players. We try to have a unique player in every series, but if we run out of players, then we do bring them back in. So Geralt was revived, and I believe Percival was also revived as well. So Geralt takes down Cristiano 1-0 to end the win streak, and also gets a win over Percival to become the King of the Hill. GG. GG, well played. Geralt does come out on top here as the King of the Hill, with 2 wins under his belt, followed by Cristiano with 7 and Björn with 6. Only 3 players walking away with any prize money here. Sometimes you have like these back and forths and everyone kind of wins the game and you have like this big chaotic bracket. But here we had some stronger forces kind of prevailing here with Björn, Cristiano, and Geralt. GG. GG, well played. Again, always a fun format, always a fun event to cover is OSC King of the Hill. That leads us into our Open Cups. Let's go. Here we go. We have our Open Cups up next. Up next is going to be the KSL, the Korean StarCraft League, week number 86. This has become a monthly tournament, unfortunately. If you want to help support the KSL, you can do so via Patreon. There is a Patreon for the KSL, and it used to be a weekly, then it turned into a bi-weekly, fortnightly event, and now it is a monthly event instead. Again, I will say the support for the Patreon has been waning over time, so if you want to help support the Korean scene and support the KSL, you can do so via Patreon. Can do so. Meanwhile, for the event itself, we did have a Solar. Solar takes down Homeowner 2-0, takes down Cura 2-0, and takes down Björn 3-1 in the finals. Big win here for Solar. Does barely break a sweat here in this tournament. I would have said that the biggest threat and the favorite player would have been Classic, but Classic got knocked out in the semi-finals by Björn. So strong showing there by Björn when it comes to the TVPs, but does struggle against Solar in those finals. Congratulations. Congratulations here to Solar for becoming this week's or this month's champion. GG, well played. That leads us into Sparkling Tuning Cup, into the STC number 121. This is a weekly open tournament hosted by us here on the CranKy Ducklings. Likewise, the KSL has their own Patreon. We have our own Patreon as well to help support and fund the tournament. Here we had Hero. He was not there at the KSL, but he was here for the Tuna Cup. Hero takes down Blue Knight 2-0, Prome 2-0, Percival 2-0, and we had a very intense back and forth in the grand finals. Björn got his revenge over Cristiano. If you remember, Cristiano was the player that did stop Björn's win streak in the OSC Open, in the OSC Weekly, in the King of the Hill. So Björn takes down Cristiano 2-0, and in the finals we had a very intense back and forth. And it was almost again a more one-sided affair here, but we had a back and forth. Björn, he took the first win over Hero, then Hero won 2, then Björn, then we had that back and forth, went all the way to the ace match, an intense finals. I do recommend it. In the end, Hero did barely come out on top, 3-2. GG, well played. Congratulations to Hero for winning the Sparkling Tuna Cup for the week of 121. That leads us into the What Is You Monday number 76. Here we had a lot of our regulars, but some crazy results here. Percival takes down Max Pax in the quarterfinals. Usually we see Max Pax at least in the semis. He's usually one of the top players here, but he was shut down early on. Percival, he has some killer TVP, does knock Max Pax out early on. Meanwhile, likewise, another big upset, Clem. He got knocked out by the Clem Crusher. The Clem Crusher, classic. He's always had, I say always, he often does have Clem's number. He's often the bane of Clem's existence in a lot of these tournaments, whether it's in EWC or some of these other big major events. Classic takes down Clem 2-0, takes down Trigger 2-1, takes down Percival 2-0 as well, and a 3-0 Cure in the finals. Oh my god, Classic, calm down. Looks like Classic, he was upset after KSL. Remember, in KSL, he was denied that tournament by Björn, and here he pops off against everyone else. Trigger being the only player to threaten Classic, Makes sense because Trigger, he even took down Hero. Like there were so many different results coming in here, so many big names and big players. Trigger has some killer PvP. He's the only player to make Classic bleed, and he also took down Hero as well. So strong showing out of Trigger despite going down to the quarterfinals. Any other major results here that come to mind? Not quite here. Shameless did take a map off of Beyond. True, did take a map. Cure, he did get his revenge over Solar. And of course, Classic 3-0 over Cure. GG. GG, well played. A strong showing there out of Classic. That leads us into the Monday Night Weekly, number 42. This is a more European-centric event and a more European-friendly time zone. Here we had Björn popping off once again. Björn. Björn, he takes down Clem 2-1 in the upper bracket finals, takes down MaxPax 2-1 in the upper bracket finals. Upper bracket semis for Clem, finals for the upper bracket finals for MaxPax, and takes down Hero in the grand finals 2-1. Björn, he beat the top 3 pro players in the world. Like, for the most part, like, there's no classic, true. There's no classic here to stand in Björn's way, or Showtime wasn't here either, but beating Clem, MaxPax, and Hero consecutively, that's some crazy TVP out of Björn. Very crazy, very impressive. GG. GG, well played. Hero, he was a player that knocked MaxPax out of the lower brackets. Any other bigger results? Shameless took down Clem. Yo, Shameless, he 1-0'd Clem in the lower bracket. That's a big win for Shameless. Okay. There, Shameless. Again, you know, he just joined a new team. And do you see someone else down there? Gopa. There's Exo Striker. Exo Striker is a rare sight. Like, he rarely shows up nowadays. He 1-0'd Geralt. Not bad. Took down Geralt 1-0 as well, so really cool to see Exo Striker pop up every now and then. He's similar to Ashbringer, where Ashbringer is also very, very inactive nowadays, and you rarely see the two of them. But yeah, congratulations to Beyond for claiming the win. Claiming that win, that leads us into Bigger Cup. Bigger Cup number 71. Here we had a bit of a rematch. Björn, he takes down Solar 2-1. If you remember, this was a rematch for the KSL finals. Then had Björn taking down Clem 3-0. Big win there for Björn. And then MaxPax gets his revenge over Björn in the grand finals 3-2. Björn takes down MaxPax in the Monday Night Weekly. MaxPax beats Björn in the Pegasus Cup. GG. But that was still a crazy run at Beyond to defeat both Solar and Clem to make it to those finals. Likewise, another upset that occurred in this tournament was Hero. Percival took down Hero 2-1. We were lucky enough to cover that series. Percival was hyper aggressive and Hero was greedy, and Hero got caught with his pants down. The pants were down. Hero, he got being greedy. He got shut down by a bunch of aggression and all-ins, and Percival was able to win that series. And even against MaxPax, he was looking not too bad either, winning a map and almost making a series out of it, a greater series, I should say. So GG, well played. With that, MaxPax does claim the win here for Pegasus Cup. The reason why we casted Percival was because we were casting Eric. This also does mark Eric's return to open tournaments. Eric did play in Kofajan's Cup recently, and we'll be covering those matches at a later date. But here he did show up in Pegasus Cup, and it was great to see Eric again after so long. The Eric, one of our own, baby, one of our own. GG. GG, well played. With that does wrap up our weekly or our tournaments for the week. If you want to tune into some of these tournaments for the upcoming week, sign up list. Sign up list in the chat. There is a link leading you to the sign up list where we have all the upcoming tournaments. We have SDO in 2 days. We have Hatchery Cup. I was unaware, but Hatchery Cup makes its return as well. We have the Patch Clash. We have the Amateur League Weeklies, Amateur League Monthly even. We have STC, Monday Night Weekly, What Is New Monday, Pegasus Cup, and many other events. Plenty of tournaments over the next week of play. Do check it out. Do consider playing yourself. You know, a lot of these events are open signups. Some of them are MMR restricted, but hey, if you want to play in amateur tournaments, you can take part in those as well. You can take part. So GG, well played. Do consider tuning in. Do consider competing. Meanwhile, if you want to support us here on the CranKy Ducklings and support the scene and support the players, you can do so via the Patreon. We did allude to this earlier, but !Patreon in the chat. Our Patreon does fund our tournaments on a regular basis. It funds the Tuna Cup, it funds the Duckling Open, and the Swan Open as well. All funded via Patreon. You can help us grow those prize pools and support the players even further. So you can help us out there if you wish. Otherwise, if you missed out on previous podcasts and previous talk shows and previous tournaments and previous casts, it can all be found on YouTube. !YouTube in the chat. Our YouTube channel does have plenty of VODs, uploads on a daily basis. There's a lot of content there on YouTube, more content than any other channel out there. unironically. Like there's hours upon hours of StarCraft there on our channel. Again, we cast more StarCraft than anyone else out there. That leads into having even more content on our YouTube channel as well. So do check it out. Do consider checking it out. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for watching. Again, we'll be back next week with the next PondCast. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow with our next tournament cast. We're going to be live in around 12 hours time with Little League Cup. With the first day of the playoffs. Oh boy. As we work through Little League Cup to eventually crown our champion over the next 3 days. With that, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. We do appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next time. We'll see you guys either next week for the next podcast, tomorrow for the next Little League Cup, or any one other of these days, because we're live on a daily basis. Plenty of content, plenty of StarCraft. Shout out to Kura for handling the production, and we'll see you guys next time. Ciao. See you next time.